Hi, PerspectiveWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Wednesday, October 28th. Zeta is now a hurricane with maximum sustained winds at 90 miles per hour, a strong Category 1 hurricane headed towards the landfall in the southeastern part of Louisiana later on today. That would make the fifth direct hit of a named tropical system in the state of Louisiana during the 2020 tropical season. Many of the earlier storms were a little bit farther to the west, closer to the Texas-Louisiana border region. Again, this is headed for landfall in the southeastern part of Louisiana later today. A piece of good news is that it's moving at a fairly rapid clip. At last report, 17 miles per hour, basically to the north. That could even accelerate over the next few hours. The faster it moves, most likely the less the damage in terms of the winds and rainfall in Louisiana. Once it goes inland, it'll accelerate to the north and east and become a major rain producer for the Tennessee Valley, the Appalachians, the Mid-Atlantic region from Thursday into early Friday. At the same time, colder air will be dropping southeastward across the Great Lakes region, could very likely result in some accumulating snow on Friday in parts of the northeast U.S., especially the higher elevation interior locations, places like the Poconos, Catskill Mountains in New York, Hudson Valley region of New York. Here is the latest satellite imagery loop. This is a visible satellite imagery loop. Again, moving pretty rapidly towards the southeastern part of Louisiana. Has an outside chance of reaching Category 2 status, but it is moving pretty quickly. A little bit cooler waters here, likely to only maintain its status as a strong Category 1. Again, the fifth direct hit on the state of Louisiana this tropical season. And here's the latest forecast track by the National Hurricane Center. Makes landfall later on today. Right now in this region right here is a strong Category 1 hurricane. It won't take much to get to Category 2, but probably stays at Category 1. Nonetheless, heavy rain, strong winds headed for southeastern Louisiana, southern part of Mississippi. Then it takes a turn to the north and east, starts to accelerate as is normal with tropical systems. And kind of the higher up they get in the latitudes, the faster they generally go. They're starting to encounter the faster flow of air aloft, the westerlies. And it will result in a significant rain event for this entire region here from Thursday into Friday. On Friday, colder air will be pressing to the south and east, and it could result in some accumulating snow in parts of the northeast U.S. on Friday. And then likely the first hard freeze of the season up and down the urban corridor region from D.C. to Philadelphia to New York City late Friday night, early Saturday morning. Some suburbs north and west of Philly, north and west of New York City could end up in the mid to upper 20s by Saturday morning. By the way, in some parts of that region, the Mid-Atlantic region, it'll be one of the shortest time periods, one of the shortest growing seasons between the last freeze and this first freeze of this season since the year 2002, for example, in Chester County, Pennsylvania. If indeed there's a hard freeze on Saturday morning, that'll be the shortest growing season, the time between the freezes since the year 2002. So pretty impressive here if in fact we get below freezing as of Saturday morning. Saturday, of course, is Halloween Day. It's like a very chilly day in the Mid-Atlantic, the Northeast U.S. for the trick-or-treaters. Probably some 15 degrees below normal for this time of the year. But again, this is the path for what is now Hurricane Zeta. Produces significant rain in the Tennessee Valley, the Appalachians, the Mid-Atlantic region from tomorrow into the day on Friday. Well, what kind of precipitation amounts are we looking at here? This is the forecast map by NOAA for the entirety of this system here. We have a strong upper level low that contributed to the early season snowfall in this part of the nation and a major ice storm across parts of Oklahoma. All this precipitation right here kind of associated with that upper level feature that we'll see in a moment tends to combine with the tropical moisture of Zeta. This is the the pathway of Zeta, and again, they kind of combine over the Mid-Atlantic region into one powerful storm system. At the same time, colder air starts to drop south and east across the Great Lakes. By late Thursday night, early Friday, it could very well be a changeover to snow in parts of the interior Northeast, especially the higher elevation locations. Let's say upstate Pennsylvania, the Poconos, the Catskills in New York, the Hudson Valley, maybe even all the way down into the southern part of New England. Accumulating snow is possible on Friday, all to be followed by the first freeze of the season in many parts of the Mid-Atlantic region, the Northeast U.S., late Friday night into early Saturday. Well, let's take a look at last night's 6Z run of the GFS in terms of the 500 millibar height anomalies, because it's pretty fascinating how we have a tropical system that ends up basically kind of merging or getting absorbed into this deep upper level trough. Again, this was associated with that amazing cold the last few days out in the Rockies, much of the western and central Pennsylvania. Some low temperature records were completely shattered by 20 to 30 degrees or so. Many areas had the lowest temperature ever for the month of October, and of course, significant accumulating snow over the past several days in this extended cold stretch, first extending from Montana all the way into the Dakotas and Minnesota. And then yesterday, New Mexico, northern part of Texas, significant accumulating snow and a major ice storm across Oklahoma. Watch what happens now as we move forward. Here is the reflection of 500 millibars from Hurricane Zeta. Here's that very, very deep upper level low, and it tends to first move into the Tennessee Valley, then tends to get absorbed. But what that will do is kind of cause two systems to produce heavy rain in the Mid-Atlantic region. The first being mainly associated with Zeta, the remains of Zeta, and then the second period of heavy rain may come Thursday night into early Friday, associated with that deep upper level low. And again, at the same time, colder air starts to drop south and east. This is the forecast map for Friday morning. Cold air already by this time will reach all the way down to the Mid-Atlantic, the northeastern coastline, probably lows in the upper 30s to lower 40s, and much of the urban corridor region between, let's say, Philadelphia and New York City, and temperatures going nowhere on Friday. And again, it very could be a changeover to some accumulating snow in some of the interior higher elevation regions of the Northeast U.S. Entirely possible that some snowflakes make it all the way down to the suburbs of Philadelphia and into the interior parts of New Jersey as well on Friday, before it all pulls out by Friday night. And by Saturday morning, the patchy frost, maybe even widespread frost throughout the Mid-Atlantic region and Northeast U.S. Again, the first freeze of the season likely in many spots late Friday night, early Saturday morning. Well, now let's take a look at the surface forecast maps from last night's run of the GFS. And here is the position right now of Hurricane Zeta. Again, a strong Category 1. Typical drizzle, light rain this morning in the Mid-Atlantic region. We've had this repeating pattern for over a week now, with morning light rain and drizzle in much of the Mid-Atlantic region, the Northeast U.S. Maybe some brightening skies later on today. Still cold enough for some snow across the Panhandle region of Texas as late as late this afternoon, early tonight. Landfall later today. Southeastern part of Louisiana, of course. Very strong winds and tremendous rainfall in that part of the nation. Then that starts to move north and east by early tomorrow. Heavy rain over the Tennessee Valley, breaking out in the Mid-Atlantic region. Again, there's kind of this hang back here. That's associated with that upper level low, and that extends the precipitation event in the Mid-Atlantic region, in the Northeast U.S. from early tomorrow all the way well into the day on Friday. Almost can say there's really like two rain periods coming for the Mid-Atlantic region. One tomorrow into early tomorrow night, and then the second one associated with this upper level low later tomorrow night into early Friday. Let's move forward here. Sitting right on top of the D.C. metro region, working its way to just off the Mid-Atlantic coastline by tomorrow night. And here's that high pressure system that anchors a cold air mass by tomorrow night, situated over the southeastern part of Canada. Some of that cold air starts to get wrapped into that secondary low pressure area associated with the upper level low. Look at this blue showing up here, upstate Pennsylvania, southern tier of New York, all the way down into, perhaps even into the coastal region of southern New England by early Friday morning, and then could be some accumulations, Poconos, Catskills, Hudson Valley, maybe even into the southern part of New England. A cold day on Friday, and that sets the stage, gets on out of here by Friday night, Saturday morning. High pressure sitting right on top of the region by early Saturday morning. A cold high, a good setup for the first widespread hard freeze of the season. D.C., Philadelphia, New York City. Again, this could make for a very short growing season between the last freeze of the spring earlier this year and the first freeze of this season. A short time. Shortest time in some areas like southeastern Pennsylvania since 2002. A cold Halloween day. High temperatures probably confined to the 40s in many areas along the urban corridor region from D.C. to Philadelphia to New York City, especially in the suburbs. It should hold in the 40s. Normal high right now in Philadelphia, for example, about 63 degrees, so could be 15 degrees below normal. That hangs on. It stays dry through the day and into Saturday night. Then we have to deal with another frontal system that works its way across the Great Lakes on Sunday, may cause a few showers in the Mid-Atlantic region late in the day on Sunday, and that ushers in a very cold air mass to begin the new work week on Monday. Windy, cold conditions, well below normal for this time of the year. So a lot going on in this transitional time of the year at the end of October. We still have tropical activity, and we have cold and snow and ice to worry about as well. That's it for now. For PerspectiveWeather.com, I'm meteorologist Paul Dorian.